participating in the city council election forum we're doing. Lima News is doing these forums with the city council candidates in each ward, depending on you guys being the first ward or the first ones we're doing. On Thursday, we'll be doing the third ward between Jesse Lowe and Carla Thompson. Introduce the people here from Lima News. Doug Olson's our publisher, David Trinkle's our managing editor, and I'm Jim Crummell, the editor. What we're doing today, this forum will be more of a conversation about the views you would bring to council. It's being streamed live to our website, limeohio.com, and it will remain on there throughout the election. We also will be publishing a story in Thursday's newspaper. We'll be asking questions of you, but you can also ask questions of each other. As I said, it's more of a conversation. We have a lot of ground to cover in an hour, so my apologies in advance if I interrupt you and say we need to move on or something like that. We'll leave the final 5 minutes for closing statements from each of you. With that, I think we'll go ahead and get started. Todd's here, the incumbent. Why don't we start off by having you tell us, give 2 or 3 attributes that you think would make a good councilman.
Well, first of all, I'm a good communicator, and I work well with others. I've had a lot of experience in that with my past labor experience being a union president. I've used some of that to work with the administration and try to get things done for the people in the ward. One of the things, I'm out and about in the ward. I've been on all 45 streets in the ward, and I've helped numerous people get problems done, from garbage issues to code enforcement issues, to, the list goes on and on and on, which that is the most satisfying part of the job, is helping the other people in the ward.
Ray, how about yourself? What do you think makes a good councilman?
Well, I have the experience, the knowledge, and ability. I know how city government works. I also have, because of my past background in the city government and other places where I've lived, working on different committees in different communities, and also with the friendships that I've made with the local, elected, county, state, federal officials. I'm personal friends with every one of them. And because of those friendships, I can contact them directly, and I can get things done for the ward and for the city, which I've done here recently. I have turned in 7 drug houses in the first ward in Lima, and as of this date, 5 of them have been raided. And I will continue doing that to get rid of drug houses. I also work with the county officials and other officials and other individuals in the ward to get rid of dilapidated and abandoned vacant houses. I've personally been involved in the tear down of 7 structures in the first ward to get the eyesores off our streets. Because if you get rid of those and you get rid of places where the criminal element can hide contraband, hide themselves, whatever. And I'm still continuing to do that, and I will continue to do that as the first ward elected official.
We'll start and then we'll go back to Todd. How do you see yourself working with the mayor or the mayor-elect? I know that's been an issue that's come up during the mayoral debates. Dave Brewer has said in his campaign, there are people on council who frankly do not want to work with me. And I think you've had, when you're on council, had your disagreements with the mayor?
Well, I'm just going to be honest. Hopefully, we'll have a new mayor come December 1st of this year. I am personal friends with Mr. Cheney, and I'm not going to be a yes man to anybody. I don't care if it's Dave Bird, Keith Cheney, or whoever it may be. I ask a lot of questions, ask a lot of why questions. I will hold whatever administration is there, I will hold them accountable as I've done in the past. Because the major job of a councilman is the watchdog of the taxpayer's dollar. I did that when I was on council the first time. As a matter of fact, I got a attaboy from Jim for money I saved the city on the water tower and other things I've worked on. When we would turn down houses in the first ward, I never asked the city for a penny. We had fundraisers to raise the money to tear these structures down. And I will continue to do that, and I will work with whatever administration that we have. I'm good friends with most of all of the city council people there now, and a lot of them support me. But we'll just have to hold what administration accountable and make sure they do what's right for the ward and for the city.
Todd?
Well, one of the things that I do well is work with others. I mentioned my labor experience. I went through several different wardens during my time as a union president. I worked well with every warden that we had, no matter his personality, because what I tried to do is work, a lot of times unions work against people. Well, I work with people, no matter who it is. Now, as far as the current administration, that's one of the things I carried into with the Berger administration, is to work with all of his leaders in the city. Because I'm a communicator, I can walk in this door and talk to him. Also, if Mr. Cheney gets in, I plan on being able to do the same thing. I want to work with him. I'm not against. I purposely stayed out of the battle between the two of them, because my purpose of being a counselor is to take care of the people in the first ward, like I do, and like I'm planning on continuing to do. I've been knocking on the doors of these residents, and my goal is to help them to be the best counselor I can for them. And by making any kind of enemies with either administration, it wouldn't be a good thing. So to me, I don't care who wins the election. Whoever wins, I want to be able to work with them, because I have a purpose, and that's serving people in the first ward.
Any questions from?
What do you see as the biggest issue that's specific to the first ward that may be different than other portions of the city?
Well,
we'll start with you and then go back to you, Ray.
There's several issues. Again, the issue with the crime and the opiate issue and the drug dealers, we need to continue to work hard to get these guys out. I too have turned in drug houses on a continuous basis, because I communicate with the citizens of the ward who talk to me and explain to me they have a problem with the people, or with certain people, certain houses being drug houses. So I've turned in many houses. That's one. I would like to see too the focus go from downtown to the neighborhoods. As far as public works, I've been public works chairman for the last 2 years, and I'd like to see our focus shift a little bit, and start making these areas look nice: streets, sidewalks, curbs. Now, I know the curbs and sidewalks are responsibility of homeowners, but I'd like to see the city put a little more into that, and kind of clean up the neighborhoods, make them look nice, so people will want to. Make their houses better.
Has there been resistance to that?
Has been resistance?
Resistance to shifting focus from downtown to neighborhoods, or providing as much focus in the neighborhoods as there is on downtown?
It's been listened to with an open ear. I can say that. I haven't received any resistance to anything like that, but it's something for the future.
Is that something you see doing through CDBG, or are you looking at them putting more of a focus on some of the street projects, or what?
Yes, and yes.
Oh, okay.
And wherever you could, bring in funding to help do these things. There's all kinds of ways to work with the federal government and bring in money. Also, I've been appointed to the Regional Planning Commission, and here pretty soon, going down Northwest Street, there's an I-65 project that's going to do just that, and that's all through federal funds. And being on that committee, I've learned a lot about where to go with those kind of things. So that's where I'd like to see the focus go in our neighborhoods.
Ray, same question to you.
Well, one thing that I'm gonna do when I get back on council is I'm gonna make a recommendation to council for a vote that no more than 10% of CDBG grant money can go for salaries. At the present time, there's about 20% of that money that's used for the upper echelon of city administration to pay their salaries. So that's about 20%. And if you add in the young lady that's our neighborhood coordinator, that jumps about 25%. I'd like to see a cap on that of 10% right across the board so that we can work more on streets and curbs. And like Todd said, we need a lot of stuff done in the first ward. We need new sidewalks, new curbs. The street lighting in the first ward is horrible. And that's another thing that I'm going to make a priority is get street lights in the first ward to light up these areas. Because everybody knows if you have good lighting, cameras, whatever, the criminal element will not do as much or if anything at all because they don't want to be seen. Just in the past week, we've had 3 armed robberies in the first ward. And an attempted break-in at Grandview Drive-Thru, which is on the corner of Grand and West. I'm sure you guys heard about it. So there's a lot going on. The one thing that I would like to do, we talked about we have a surplus of jobs in the city and the surrounding area. That may be true, but most of those jobs are technical jobs. So we need to figure out some way, it shouldn't be that difficult with the quality of people we have in our community and our education system, to get those jobs tied to the education system in the lower grades. So these people, when they get out of high school and they go through out of the Paul or whatever, that they can go into these jobs making that good money. And then we got to get the people motivated. If you get people back to working, your crime rate will go down. That's a proven fact anywhere in the world. When people are working, they're happier. They're not out doing stupid stuff and getting into a lot of trouble. The opioid epidemic, the heroin epidemic we have, is horrible. We've got to put more resources through our drug team, through our DEA people and the federal government. We've got to get rid of these people bringing this stuff into our community. That's how you can stop it. You got to stop it coming in. If you stop it coming in, hopefully you'll stop the people using it. And then the people who are using it, instead of putting them in jail, get them help. Once they start using it, it becomes a disease. They can't stop. So we've got to put more resources into the aftercare and into the medical field to get these people treated.
Would you say the city has a gang problem?
We have a horrible gang problem in the city. And I know that firsthand. I see them. In the North End, we've got the North End Posse. A bunch of little young 15, 16, 17-year-olds running around with one pant leg pulled up, running around 4 or 5 at a time. They dropped some people over there on North Street across from St. Louis Hospital one night. They dropped people in alleyways. I mean, they're all over.
Todd, would you agree that there's a gang problem in one?
Oh, yes, I would. I agree totally with that if there's a game.
I want to go back to earlier, we were talking about housing issues. And how do you go? Let's start with you, Ray. How do you feel about the discussion about registering landlords?
I'm one of the people, along with Myra Dickerson, that started the group that is opposing that. I feel, and so do a lot of other people, especially landlords and landowners, and by the way, that's not just registration for landlords. If you read the ordinance the proposed ordinance that the mayor submitted to city council, it also says dwelling if you sell your house. So if you live in the city of Lima, you sell your house, you have to have it inspected first. It's right in the proposed ordinance. I'm against that. I'm against that for several reasons. One, somebody comes and knocks on my door, someone come in and do an inspection of my house, I think that's a violation of my Fourth Amendment rights. And two, all you're going to do is, if that was to pass, which I hope it doesn't, if that was to pass, then the cost has to be passed on. There's no way that the landlords, landowners can put that cost with everything that goes along with it, the repairs they may have to do, the people that got to talk to, it'd just be putting another 7 or 8 people in another bureaucratic role at city government that we don't really need. We have the laws already on the books, the ordinance on the books through code enforcement, that we can enforce that now. We don't need another bureaucratic organization to do that. And that's gonna cause more homelessness in Lima. It's gonna cause more evictions. If you've ever been to eviction court, every month, there's probably close to 100 people getting evicted. Most of that is for non-payment of rent. Now, if you raise these people rent $50 to $100 a month, that's gonna be more evictions. Where are these people going to go?
Todd, I'd like you to comment on your position on the issue.
Yeah, right now, to be honest with you, I agree with Ray as well. I'm on that committee, the Neighborhood Concerns Committee, and personally, I really doubt that thing gets out of committee. It's too restrictive. I don't like what's going on with it. I would like to see us be able to improve on how we deal with the landlords, but at this point in time, I haven't seen a whole lot that I like dealing with this issue.
So you posed this particular issue, but you mentioned it's an issue. How would you deal with that?
Well, we need to, we need to be able to get our houses looking good, and the landlords need to be responsible. So we need to be able to communicate. A lot of these landlords live out of town, a lot of them, not all of them. And frankly, you need to put a lot of work into it. I think we do need to come up with some kind of way to be able to communicate with them, be able to collect. We need to be able to enforce our code enforcement issues a little better. We need more help there because frankly, a lot of the things that we have, we don't have enough people to enforce them.
Can we talk about, Jim, you go ahead.
I'm going to talk a little bit about crime. Get back to that. Can you tell me about your perception of crime? Is it on the decline, or are we seeing an increase in it?
Well, I think we need to focus more. I think we need to put more money into our police department. I know we put a lot of money into it, but I think we need to be able to give our police more resources. I think we need more police. I think we need to up the numbers there because I think crime is definitely an issue. The drug problem in the city, it needs to be taken care of. It needs to be acted upon. I've supported every single issue, every single funding for the police department, and I plan on continuing to support everything with the police department as long as it's within reason. Because I think we need to shift a lot of our focus to helping these police officers get resources. We need more officers, and frankly, I just think that we need to give as much as we possibly can to fight the crime issue.
Ray, your thoughts?
On crime.
Yeah.
Crime in the city, even though they're saying it's going down, I don't think so. I talk to the police officers, the county, and the city. I talk to them every night. I talk to patrol officers. And there's no saying that figures don't lie, but liars figure. And so do I believe that the crime in our community is going down? No, because I see it every day. I talk to the police officers every night. I mean, every night I talk to them. That's on patrol. And they say the same thing. They're so busy, it is absolutely ridiculous. They're going from one call to the next, one situation to the next. Crime in our city is not decreasing. If anything, it's increasing. We do need to put more resources into the police department. I was on council first time with Amy Odom and a few others. We were able to find some federal money, grant money, to help our police, to hire some extra police officers at the time. Do we need more police? And the answer is yes. Do we need to be a police state city? The answer is no. We need to make sure we do get extra police, that they're out there protecting the citizens, protecting the property in the city, and not just being out there just everybody that comes by, they pull over and give a ticket to, if they didn't use a turn, whatever, the minor stuff. that a lot of times leads to major, but we need to make sure that we do have more police officers, but they're well-trained, they're respectful, and that they are there to protect the residents of the city and to protect the city.
How would you pay for more police officers?
We have plenty of money in the general fund. As of right now, we're probably $8 million a rainy day fund, maybe a little bit more. The most of the money that comes through the contract fees for our water system goes to the city general fund. So we are over $8 million on the positive side. So the money is there. And I understand you want to keep some money for a rainy day if something has to go bad. But I think that we have the money there already. I think we can get more federal grants. And some of the CDBG grant money can also be used for a police officer. So I think we just have to reorganize ourselves, refocus our energies and our abilities into what we need to do, and get some more police officers out there to protect the people of the city of Lima.
Can you comment on that? Because you had mentioned more police and investing in the police force as well. How would you pay for it?
Like Ray said, we do have money that comes in from contract water and plenty of money in the general fund. So, you know, we take it from there and we go out and also try to bring in as much federal funding as we can to help with all these issues. Because Lima is, so we need to get out there, find the money, push our people to do that, and go from there.
So if the money exists, why hasn't this occurred already?
Well, they do go out and get different funds, but you got to continue to keep going out and getting these kind of funds. So it is an ongoing thing that goes on. We just need to keep pressing on it.
But if there's $8 million in the general fund and the police officers staying.
Well, no, that's excess in the general fund.
Excess in the general fund, excuse me. So if that's true, and the police officers are telling you that they're stretched and they're busier than ever, why do you believe that hasn't been addressed up to this point?
Well, frankly, we need, the administration controls and council, we just vote on how it's spent. So we vote on the budget and move forward.
Ray, comment on that?
Well, the administration does control who they hire. We give them, just through the city council, give them the authority, and then every year when they do their budget, they apply for funds. And they kind of give us an update or at least a little overview of what they want to do. Now, we can direct, through city council, we can direct money going into certain funds for more people. That's one of the things I pushed for in January, is to put more money into that, the police department funds, the safety services funds. So we go out and hire another 3, 4, 5 police officers this coming year. And I would like to focus on hiring the minority police officers to make up for the demographics of our city.
In today's paper, correct me if I'm wrong, Craig, wasn't Kevin Martin making the point that he thought we are staffed properly right now?
I'm not sure if he said that we were staffed properly. I think what he said in the paper when I read it online last night is that, and I'm a little bit concerned about the budget, which is understandable. And if you do go to that number, he's a little bit concerned about the perception the people in the city would have about being a police state city. And that's understandable, because I know Chief Martin is a fiscal conservative. He'd like to save money wherever he can. But sometimes if you have a good police force and the people feel that they're protected and their property is protected, you'll get more industries coming to town. Because they feel like they can go walk the street and not be molested, mugged, robbed, shot, whatever, like happened at Rite Aid up on Robb Avenue, Robin West, where those people inside that store were rounded up. So you get more police officers that are out there paying attention to what they're doing, and not just be pulling people over just because you want to, and actually focus on crime. I think that you would see a big difference in the city in a pretty quick turnaround.
Are you implying that that's occurring right now? Police are pulling people over just because they want to?
I've heard that rumor now. Have I seen it personally? The answer is no. But I do have a lot of people that will complain to me because of my background, if they going somewhere and got pulled over, they don't know why, and police officer walked up to them and tells them to go. Now, if that's true or not, I have no idea.
Well, isn't that part of pinpoint policing, that you do pick up people for not having a turn signal or whatever, so you can check them out for other bigger crimes?
Well, and a lot of that, Jim, you know well as I do, a lot of that is profiling. I think we have to be careful of that. I mean, to make a rule, an ordinance through city council that you can pull somebody over because they pull away from a curb or don't use a signal, but yet they're backing out of one of the parking spaces, that's okay. Just to be able to pull somebody over and see what's going on with them. There's been a lot of complaints in the police department recently. You've read several articles in your paper about it. And I know some more where people have actually complained to Chief Martin. He's done an investigation. I know one guy that got a letter back and Chief Martin said he was right. He would correct his officers. So I think you have to be careful of that. And one thing that when I was in the military, 6 years Army paratroopers, one thing that I was always taught is firm, fair, and consistent. I don't care if you're on the south end of town, north end of town, east or west. You have to do the things the same way every time. You can't go over into the boulevard on West Street, somebody pulls away from the curb, don't you signal and let them go, but yet you go on the north end or east end or south end, somebody does that and you pull them over. You have to be consistent with how you apply these ordinances, these laws. And I think that's one thing we get through our police department. Be firm, be fair, and be consistent.
Todd, what's your view of pinpoint policing?
Well, what they are doing with pinpoint policing is exactly what you said. They're when somebody has a violation, they pull them over and then they can get a look at inside the car. I dealt with this personally with the police department on a first-hand basis the first 2 years I was the safety services chair. And racial tensions were getting high. One of the pastors from the Black Ministers Association was very upset, and I contacted him, and I set up a meeting with the Black ministers. And I sat down with me and a former counselor sat down with the Black ministers, and we had them explain. They talked to us about what was going on. They were very upset. They didn't like it. Some of the things felt they were right, some things they felt they were wrong on. But one of the things we did was we went back to the administration, talked to them. One of the concerns was that COP stations went away. And so really this meeting that I set up with the Black ministers led to bringing back the COP stations in the neighborhoods. You know, we sat down with them. We knew they were upset. And, you know, frankly, I don't want any kind of racial tensions in my city anywhere, you know, the north and the south and the east and the west. I don't want it. And so, you know, by getting out and communicating with these guys, you know, the long story short is that it did help bring back the something that they wanted to see, so there's somebody they could go talk to.
Did the people in the neighborhoods where pinpoint policing was taking place, weren't they happy with the results, so that there was driving crime out of their neighborhoods?
Yeah.
Where the pinpoint policing took place,
Yeah.
weren't the people that lived in those neighborhoods
Well, you know, yes.
happy with the results?
Right, because they, you know, they see a lot of things. That's where you get your information from. You get your information from the people right in the neighborhoods. They're the ones that see the drug dealers. They're the ones that see the speeding going down the street and complain about it. Now they have somebody that they feel they can communicate with the COP stations. But yeah, you're absolutely right. That people that are in those situations, yeah, they done that through surveys. And when they went to the people in the neighborhood and took these surveys, that's one of the results that come out of that is pinpoint policing.
Can we talk about, Todd, to you first, can we talk about your feelings on the dispensing of medical marijuana?
Well, you know, I have family members that are dealing with cancer right now. And it's an issue that's in the Safety Services Committee. I have concerns about what the state's come up with, and I have some concerns about what kind of stores we're going to put in our city, should we allow this. And so, you know, I'd like to get a better picture of it before I would say yes to it. As far as the use of medical marijuana, I'm for it because I think that it's going to help a lot of people. You know, it's going to help them deal with the chemotherapy. And, you know, like I said, I've seen a lot of people suffer from this. And if something's going to help, like the medical marijuana, I'm all for it because it bothers me to see people suffering.
So how do you get more, you said you'd like to see a better picture of this or a better understanding of this. How do you get that?
Well, you during these meetings that we've had, people have come that have been informed and that have been to bigger cities that have seen it. And so you ask a lot of questions and you know, you talk to as many people as you can and you kind of get the picture. I mean, you could travel to Denver, Colorado and take a look at one, but you know, like I said, what I don't want is these stores on the corner that, you know, I don't want a store on the corner that, you know, selling dope and you know, really isn't professional. You know, I feel a lot more comfortable if our pharmacies was handling this medical marijuana than a store just for that. But when I gather more information, you know, again, I'm for it as far as that goes at this point. But I don't want these things to bring in more crime and bring in, you know, the people that we don't want to see in our neighborhoods for this kind of thing. So.
Race, same question.
Well, first I'd like to go back to the COP stations. Right now we have 5 COP stations, I do believe, and only 3 police officers that are manning these 5 stations. I don't think that's enough. Because you got 3 officers trying to man 5 stations. They go there once or twice a week for 2 hours a day. I would like to see these almost like substations to where they're manned around the clock. There's somebody who's in and out, maybe run on patrol, come back, stay there a while, see if anybody comes in, leaves, go back on patrol, whether it be a bike patrol, car patrol, or foot patrol, and just walk in the neighborhoods. And that's how you get to know people. When you're on a bike or you're on foot, you can talk to them, you find out what's going on. The 5 COP stations manned with 3 officers, not enough. Is it reducing crime? I don't think so. Because when you're in such a hurry, you're running back and forth between 2 a couple of days a week for 2 hours at a time. You're not there long enough to really get to know the people. You're not there long enough to get people to get to know you and come in and trust you to give you information like that. Like Mr. Gordon said, I've walked this street many times. I have a lot of people come to me. People come to me about these drug houses, but I've been turning drug houses for years. This is something that just didn't start. When I first moved back to Lima, the worst neighborhood in Lima, Ohio was Graham and Elizabeth Street. And it took me about 3 months to get it straightened out. Because we had drug dealers all up down the street. It was a disaster. You go back and check your police call logs from 2004, 2005, when I bought the place, and look at it now.
Are you tying this into the medical marijuana question, or?
No, well, I just want to talk about the COP station. Okay. But the medical marijuana, one thing that we can do on city council, and I've heard, I was at the first meeting, Mr. Gordon was out sick or something. But the one thing that we can do on council, we can direct them, and the state, I think, has done a pretty good job of some of the rules they've come up with. Just like we have All Glades, Putnam, and Allen County is one district. There can be one grove farm, you might want to call it. one cultivator, and then one dispensary. Well, we can, and now with the county has to get involved in also, we can control where these places are set up at. We can also control to where the dispensary goes into Lima. There is going to be, these stations going to be mandated by the state. They're going to go someplace. I would rather see it in Lima so we can control it a little bit better. I have called out to Colorado, some people I know out there. The crime rate, since they have legalized marijuana, has gone down. The tax money is tremendous. They pay so much tax dollars, it's absolutely a joke. I think in one last month, either July or August, just tax money in Denver that they gave to the local government was $1.7 million for 1 month. It's a lot of money. You can hire a lot of people, get a lot of things done with that kind of money. So, do we have marijuana in the city of Lima now? The answer is yes. Hell yes. It's all over the place. And it's laced with stuff that's going to end up killing people. They're lacing marijuana now with fentanyl and carfentanil. There's a bus down at McDonald's on Metcalf and Market not that long ago. There's enough fentanyl that would probably kill 100 people.
So are you suggesting, just to be clear, are you suggesting that allowing or accepting the legal dispensing of marijuana would impact what you're describing in terms of the marijuana that exists in the city now?
I think if we had well, it's not going to impact, the people won't buy it illegally anyway. But the people who are hurting, the people who are going through chemotherapy and radiation, the people with the chronic pain that are on the opioids now getting on heroin, that would get them off. So I think it'd be a win-win, tax-wise and safety services wise and medically wise, that we would win in all three of those situations. And I think that should be here in Lima, Allen County, because we can control it instead of letting some other county or some other division control it where we have no control over it. And do we have legal medical marijuana now? The answer is yes. We already have it, and it's prescribed by a doctor. They go to a drugstore and get a pill, and it will help people eat. But my sister had it; she had to take it.
Thank you.
Sure.
Todd,
Go ahead, Doug.
question for you, Todd. Should Ray win this race, what piece of advice would you have for him?
Should he win, which I don't believe is going to happen, I would advise him to get out and talk to the people, get out as I've done, because when you knock on doors and talk to people, you find out there's a lot of problems and little things, little issues that you can help people with. It's the most satisfying part of the job. I enjoy that part of the job more than I do any other part of being on city council.
Same question to you, Ray. If Todd retains this spot, what advice do you have for him going into the next?
To answer Todd's question, I do get out and talk to people. I'm out every day. I've been out every day for the last 20 years. I'm involved in the neighborhood through the neighborhood association. I'm involved in it through the police officers that I know and the contacts I have with them. And through other organizations I belong to, the Exchange Club, which is, fighting for children, through the Eagles and Elks and the NFIB. I'm a business person. I donate money to many different charities in Lima. The one big one in the first ward is Samaritan House. I just made a big donation of food to them about a month ago. So I am out talking to people, and they know me. They know me personally. I walk up down the street, they know me. They call my name. I ordered 50 signs to start out, but now I've got those 50 out. I got people calling me every day wanting to put a sign in their yard. I've got 20 more ordered. So I'm talking to people. I've always talked to the people, and I told Mr. Gordon 4 years ago when I actually called him up and said, "You'll be city council. I don't want it anymore, or I'm not going to run for it," because that people want me to run then. And I told him then, help the people. And that's the same advice I give to Mr. Gordon. Stay focused on helping the people. Don't be a yes man for anything. Ask questions and demand answers to those questions. And then do what is best for the people in the first ward and ultimately for the people in the city of Lima.
Do you think that the voters in the first ward have a clear understanding of your relationship with former Sheriff Krish?
Yes, they do. They know he and I were at one time best friends.
You've said a couple times, I'm not a yes man, but is there a danger about being a no man? That you're
No, I'm not a no man. I ask a lot of questions, Jim. You should probably know that by now because you've talked to me so many times. I'd never take anything because somebody tells me something. I'll ask them why. And then they better be able to give me a good answer to it. I'm not going to go into council and vote on something just because I'm told to vote on it. I want to know why do we have this? Why are we voting on this and what's it going to accomplish? I've always been that way and I will continue being that way. So I'm not a no man. If you go back and look at all the proposed ordinances that Dave Berger's administration proposed when I was on city council, 98% of the time I agreed with Dave Berger. So that's not being a no man. But the few times I did oppose him, like the money for the water tower down there on 65, and then when he's giving all that money to the Central Point Business Park for land that was worthless, I did oppose him on that, and I will continue to oppose him. Whatever administration. I don't care if it's Dave Berger or Keith Cheney or if Todd decides to run for mayor and wins. I will always ask those kind of questions, and I'll continue asking them. And I ask them today. And I asked our federal, I just had a talk with Jim Jordan just a couple of days ago. And I've asked him about some things going on at the federal level. Bob Cupp just had a meeting with him the other day, Friday, when he was in town for his golf outing. So I am always, and Corey Noonan, those people, I go up right to their office and talk to them about once a month or so. I want to know what's going on in their community, where the money is going, where it's coming from, and how best we spend this money. Because the way I look at it, that's my money. And I will continue to look at it that way. I will know how my money is going to be spent.
How can we move past the the disconnect that we hear in various circles about there's over 1,100 jobs available on Ohio Needs Jobs website, but yet businesses can't find workers to fill the positions that we have. Todd,
Well, it's really simple. We need more communication. We need to push it. I'm not sure that's really something other than communicating with people for city council, to do, but we need people to, to understand that it's out there. And so, they need to be able to see this, one of the things I want to go back to when we talk about, is it okay if I go back to when we talk about be it a yes man or a no man?
right.
Is that okay if we go back to that? One of the things that I do on Friday when I get my city council paperwork is I go through that Friday. I read through it on Saturday, every single page, and I do it on Sunday. And then on Monday, when they're back open with administration, if there's something I don't understand, I make calls. And I said it one night on city council, I don't answer to anybody. Sometimes when you're sitting on that council, you receive pressure from others that are on the council or, other people to try to influence your decisions. And I'll tell you what, one of the things that I always try to do is do the right thing, whether it upsets one of the other council members or whether it upsets the mayor. It doesn't matter to me. I'm trying to do the right thing, period. Because when I'm done on my city council, I'm going to have my integrity about me, and I'm going to know that every single issue that I voted on was the right thing to do. And I said it one night on council. I don't answer to anybody unless there's a member of the first ward in that room. I don't answer to any of them out there. So sometimes not being on, they have sides, and sometimes not being on a side gets both sides pulling on you. But, it doesn't matter who I upset. If I don't agree with them, I'm going to try to always do right.
Ray, let's go to you on the economic jobs issue that I raised with the disconnect there. Any comments on that?
Well, I think I commented on that earlier about the jobs that was within a radius of Lima.
Yeah.
One is we got to educate people to take those jobs.
Mm-hmm.
Most of those jobs are technical jobs. And if people don't have the technical skills, how to run a lathe or how to read a tape measure or a pair of calipers, it's going to be hard for them to pass that test to get that job. So we have to make sure and work with the educational system in our community to make sure those people are ready for those jobs. I think Apollo has done a great job in doing that. I think Road State has probably done a good job in doing that. So we have to make sure that the people are trained to take those jobs. Just saying that you got a job that pays $18 an hour, that's great. But nobody's qualified to take that job. What good is it? It isn't. So we have to get the two groups together. The manufacturers that have these jobs and the education system, whether it be on-the-job training or whether it be through a technical school or through educational school. We have to make sure that those entities meet and get these people trained for those jobs.
Just shift a little bit. I know you guys have both mentioned that in safety services, wanting to see more minorities hired. Mayor Berger, I spoke with him. He said he will continue to try to push for a complete list rule in terms of evaluating civil service board applicants. What are your thoughts on going? Do you agree with the mayor going to a complete list rule, or do you still prefer the rule of 10, or do you prefer something in between?
When I was on city council the first time, the civil service board had a rule of 3. Myself and a couple of the city council people, if you go back and look at it, was rule of 3. We started pushing to change it. We got a lot of pushback from administration because the time they didn't want it, they wanted to keep using the rule of 3. We finally got it through and got it passed to use the rule of 10. And now I think that they see, and if you remember correctly in the debate the other night when this person was hired to be the finance for the place or whatever, and they said, well, that person number 20. And then Dave Berger spoke up and said, no, she's number 19. So obviously he's already using that system or anybody that's qualified. But again, that system or that list that was used to hire this person, that was number 19 or number 20 on the list, was some of the city councilors said that she was number 20, but Berger is 19, but who, one position, who really cares? There was one number down. That list was from August of last year. So that list is over a year old. So are we waiting for all these other people to drop off to find other jobs and hire the person that we want on there for whatever reason? Or are we going to give a new test? But would I like to see it change from a rule of 10 to just everybody who passes? I think that'd probably be a little bit more, would be a little more fair for everyone involved. Because you pass a test, you pass a test. If you're number 1, that's great. If you're number 30, you still pass, that's great. You still pass. And a lot of people don't do well taking tests. They may be the greatest person in the world. You give them a test, they don't do well. And who knows why, but that's just facts of life. So would I like to see it change? It wouldn't bother me at all if it changed.
Yeah, a test is only part of anything when you get a job. The interview process, when you get a look at a person, look at somebody in the eye, that means a lot. So yeah, I think it should be opened up. I think it should be opened up to anybody that passes the test, and people come and they go through a second part of any kind of job assignment, an interview, so that
Background check?
Yeah, the administration can take a look at these people, look them in the eye, and see if they'd be a good person for that job. And frankly, it would help us with the problem of minorities working on our police department as well.
You know, the mayor's pledge that no matter who, because I asked him, so what if you get 30, 40, 50, 100 people passing this test? Will you be able to go through all those interviews and still avoid, like this, having a list a year old and you still haven't filled the position yet? Do you agree with that? Are you confident that the administration would be able to follow through on that? Do you see any concerns with that?
Well, I don't sit in their day-to-day operations every day, but my hopes would, if they tell you they can, that they would be diligent about what they do and interview as many people as they possibly can.
Yeah.
Well, personally, I don't know if we ever had that many taking civil service exam, but we do have quite a few now. And I know I think it was Chief Martin made a comment when we heard these 5 new police officers that there were 2 minority people that passed the test but didn't pass the physical. And I just don't understand that at all, what was going on there. So would they be able to interview everyone that passed the test? I think so. You get them in, first you're gonna do, they're not gonna be, you're gonna do a background check and see if they got the credentials you're looking for, the training, the schooling you're looking for. Then you bring them into for face-to-face interview. You like them, the person you want, or maybe you make another pool of 5 or 10, you bring them back in for second interviews or whatever, and then you finally hire the one you think did the best for that job. Taking away all the residual effects that may be clouding your judgment or your memory, so it should be unbiased hiring of the best candidate.
Any other questions, anybody? Or about that time, during the hour, or closing remarks. Ray, why don't you go first and Todd, you finish it up.
I'm running for First Ward City Council again because a lot of people in the First Ward have asked me to. I've been approached over the last couple of years. I've been helping people out in the ward for the last couple of years of problems that they have, and I will continue to do that. And on City Council, I will make sure that your tax dollars are spent wisely, that your rights are preserved, and that they will not be violated. And we're going to hold people accountable to make sure that doesn't happen. On City Council, we have the means and the authority that we can do that by controlling the purse strings. And that's what I want to see done. I'm going to continue working with the Neighborhood Association on tearing down vacant, abandoned dwellings in the First Ward. I'm going to be working with our county treasurer, as I've done in the past, to get the dwellings torn down in the First Ward. And I am going to continue being a voice for the people of the First Ward. In the 4 years that I was on City Council the first time, I never missed a committee meeting, regardless. I had a sick brother and a sister. I always made sure that I was at every committee meeting. And the 4 years I was on City Council, technically, I never missed a meeting. But if you want to count the one time that I was at the church on 8th Street when we about had the riot, when the young lady got shot and killed up there on 2nd Street, I was at a church with a bunch of people trying to make sure our city didn't explode. And but I've never missed a City Council meeting. I've never missed a committee meeting. I will continue to do that to make sure that the First Ward has a voice.
Well, in closing, I'd just like to say that I've worked hard for the First Ward. I've been honest. I've had integrity. I've been respectful to both the administration and my other council members. And when I came to Lima City Council in a meeting one time, and I had a contraption attached to my leg that I just had a surgery, so I was told, why the heck was I even there? But I came to that meeting I can't remember exactly what you call the thing, but wound vac. I had a wound vac strapped to my leg, and I just had a major surgery. And I had my wife drive me up. The meeting that Mr. Magnus is talking about, the safety services meeting, they scheduled at the last minute when I was on vacation. And so I wasn't coming back for it. Because also I have priorities with my family. But I've been at all the meetings. I've been highly involved. I've been out there talking to people, and they appreciate me. And so I plan on doing another 4 years and continuing my one-on-one, face-to-face with all the residents, and doing the best job that I possibly can with integrity and honesty. And I will be somebody that you need to be concerned with to whether I have a good reputation. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you both very much. We appreciate your time. Ended 5 minutes early. Look at
Well,
that.
actually, we